Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is Defub21 and we have yet, even though it is the summer and supposed to be the quiet time, we have a new video game trailer. This one is for a game I'm very interested in. It's the new Total War Warhammer game. In other words, a game set in the Warhammer universe from Games Workshop, but being made by the people who made the Total War series, aka Creative Assembly, one of Sega's kind of main PC strategy game development houses. The other is Relic, which I recently learned, if you saw one of my previous videos, is in Canada. There was a previous video that was released, but this was a previous trailer, but it was a small teaser, and it was just showing some animation of a particular unit, sort of griffin type thing, but without the wings. This time we're looking at a trailer with some actual in-game gameplay, which has me very excited. So that tends to be the proof of the pudding, as it were. So although again, taking into account the trailers for Aliens, Colonial Marines was a total and utter fabrication, which is again as relevant here because the publisher in that case was also Sega, and should be kept in mind. But anyway, hopefully this will be great. We'll have a look at this trailer and then I'll tell you what I think afterwards.
I am Karl Franz, and I was born into this world, just like you. A world of unceasing war and endless terrors. But with a nation of men at its heart, a bastion of hope and courage. The Empire. Led by the craven, torn apart by the greedy, weakened and exposed, forever on the defense. But no longer.
Now, we unite to purge the evil that dare confront us. Follow me, and we will banish this darkness. I swear this as your emperor. Ready arms!
Hello boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. For anyone who may have forgotten, this is Defub21. And well, I have a bit of a personal bias here vis-a-vis this trailer and the game it's a trailer for. I've never been a big, necessarily significant player of the Total War games, but I do kind of highly respect them, and I do highly respect the team that creates them, Creative Assembly. And in terms of the Total War, kind of the Warhammer board games with the figures, I've 40k would have been more my thing when I played those sort of games, not Warhammer itself. But I did pretty seriously enjoy some of the kind of previous Warhammer-based RTS games that have come out. Shadow of the Horned Rat, which has actually become available on GOG, Good Old Games, recently, for I think it's a pretty reasonable price. Was a game I was very, very fond of, which had kind of you controlling like not individual soldiers but whole units the way you did both in the Warhammer board game itself, and you will obviously in this Total War game. In fact, the kind of Total War franchise, I can't think of a better team up than this. So I have a lot of interest in that respect towards this game, and I'm somewhat excited for it. In terms of the trailer, some somewhat predictable and even stereotypical voiceover work done at the beginning, but again, it helps kind of introduce the world and the universe to people who don't have no knowledge of it at all, or have more limited knowledge of it like I would. On one side of the equation. On the other side of the equation, it's a bit, predictable, expected stuff, but it's done to a good standard. It's not cringe-inducing in any real meaningful way. The big plus as far as this trailer is good, and I think this is quite a good trailer, although again, I've already mentioned my personal bias, because I'm quite stoked for this game, is that it's very, very clearly, or certainly pretty much seems to be all pretty much in-game gameplay. They don't appear to have tried to sex it up in any way. If they had, I mean, the main what would the word, piece of evidence that this is definitely in-game and it genuinely representative of what the final product will look like isn't so much the character models and animations, although I think they're quite close to what they'll be in the final game, at least if you've got decent hardware. But equally, if not more importantly, it's the environment. The terrain is very basic. I mean, yes, you can say it's kind of a desolate area, but if you look at the ground, there's the grass textures are there's very, very basic. There's no grass sticking out of the ground. It's all kind of flat textures and all the rest. In other words, it gives the impression of close up kind of camera views of a game engine in a game that's designed to be controlled from above at quite a height, so you can control a very large number of units that have huge numbers of individual soldiers and troops in each unit, which is again the standard for the Total War games. So it's more scale than it is quality, although it still looks quite good. The trailer is also running at 60 frames a second, which certainly if you've got I think it's so far it's just Google Chrome that can view YouTube videos at 60 frames a second. I think if you're looking at this at 30 frames a second, I would suggest you go back and get your hands on Google Chrome or any other web browser that currently supports 60 frames a second on YouTube. If you're aware of another, actually let me know in the comments if you're aware of another, or any way you can set up, say, Firefox or whatnot to want to show 60 frames a second video. I don't believe it does, but I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments. In 60 frames a second, in-game, in-engine, using in-game art assets, particularly because the terrain, the environment leaves me to believe that it's not being sexed up in any way. Although again, as I stated at the beginning of this video, this is Sega we're talking about, so Aliens, Colonial Marines must be remembered, although in that case it was... Who is the developer primarily involved in its creation again? I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Oh, they were responsible for the Borderlands games. Gear something or other. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm afraid I've gone a bit well, I can't remember it. Gearbox, that's it. Gearbox Software, I believe, was responsible for Colonial Marines, or at least it's partially. They may have outsourced some of the development to another studio. I can't remember the exact specifics again off the top of my head. But it looks like a great trailer, in my view. Genuinely kind of representative of what the game will actually look on one's personal computer, assuming it's not a multi-platform title, it's not coming out in the consoles, which is probably the case. Very excited, and it also appears to be a trailer for another trailer. It looks like there's going to be later this month a video of them doing a developer playthrough. I think of that mission or that battle. Could be if you check at the end of the trailer, and I'll be very interested in that, and I'll probably do another commentary video on that video when it comes out. But that's, very interested. I'm a big fan of this kind of game. I really enjoyed Shadow of the Horned Rat. Again, look it up online and on Good Old Games. It's a great little game. Came out back in the 90s. The one thing that interests me is kind of what's the economic model going to be. I again tend to like my resource management stuff, whether it be in first or third person shooters like survival horror games like Dead Space, or RPGs and things like that, like The Witcher 3 or Fallout 4, which is coming this year. And I can't believe it's coming this year, but it is. And I'm wondering, are they going to be a typical Total War economic system? Because again, I haven't played the Total War games a huge amount. I've got Shogun 2, so I usually buy them when they're on sale. I've also got the previous one where you start off in the US, but there was this bug that, wouldn't let you progress the game in the tutorial stages, and I lost interest at that stage before they could fix it. I should go back try playing that one too, but it's with the exception of the last Total War game came out in not terribly great a state, although they've since patched it. With the exception of that one blemish, the Creative Assembly's record of these games is very, very good. Would not be surprised. I mean, the thing to remember is the fact that this license has ended up at Creative Assembly isn't that surprising when you take into account that Relic, which was originally owned by THQ, but when they went bust, was bought out by Sega, was responsible for the Dawn of War series of video games, which is Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2, that are basically two of the best, in my view, strategy games that have come out really in the last kind of 15 years, certainly since the turn of the millennium, and were two of the best kind of Games Workshop based games, to my mind, ever made. So the fact that the publisher who owns Relic would be able to get their hands on the license and provide it to Creative Assembly is not as much of a surprise as you might think. I think Games Workshop certainly would have been open to it, particularly with Relic being part of the Sega family now, and I would imagine that's a very, very nice source of money. Hopefully we'll get another Dawn of War game, Dawn of War 3, at some point out of Relic, but when or how that'll happen, who knows. Anyway, I don't want to yammer on for too long. I don't want to be getting boring any of you who may be listening and or watching, but yeah, 60 frames a second gameplay trailer seems to be certainly all engine and all in-game, and it doesn't appear to be sexed up like the Fallout 4 trailer that came out before E3 and then what they showed at the Bethesda press conference. It genuinely looks like, this is a real game, genuinely real game, and I think this is due to come out this year. I'm not completely sure though. I'll have to check that. I'll leave a note, or you'll see a speech bubble with a yes or a no to that at the end of this video. But yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm thinking I'm a bit drowned in RPGs at the moment. I'm waiting for the new patch to come out for Witcher 3 to start playing it again, and Fallout 4 is coming at the end of the year. I don't know how I'm going to be able to, where I'm going to get the time, but this definitely looks cool, to say the very least. Anyway, this is Defub21. If you like this video, please take a look at some of the others and look at my channel. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Toodaloo.